Are you finding that agencies and/or marketers are coming to you with good, thoughtful, smart questions about, how to turn their advertising campaigns into ROI generators?
We get pushed by the most sophisticated marketers around. Those can be actually some of the newest disruptor companies, but also some of the very well-established marketers that you'd expect would be thinking a lot about how to get the most out of the new formats that are coming along, but also how to use those in conjunction with the things that they know and are good at using, for instance, television.
So, for example, in the CPG category, are you seeing a real desire to better understand sales? And that's a complex one, of course, but I think for you, you're sitting on some data that helps.
Well, I think from our perspective, there was always a desire to understand if they're driving sales. That has always been a focus in CPG and every vertical. So since the earliest days of measurement at Facebook, we were focused on understanding what media mix results were saying about us and how to help marketers understand performance across channels. And so I would say, yes, they're asking a lot about ROI, but that's not new. If you go back 5 years, we did a partnership with then Datalogix, now Oracle, particularly to understand ROI for CPG companies, and I think that's become a little bit of an industry model, and other digital publishers use that service, and so it's not new. What's nice is the questions are getting more sophisticated. How do we use that measurement platform to answer questions about the new video formats coming along? Like, what is the relationship between duration and outcomes? How do you create an ad in a kind of lean forward, to use the terminology, environment where people can choose to watch it or not? Like, these are the questions that people are starting to ask more about video than the ROI. I think people see the potential, but they understand that we don't know a lot about how to do this well yet on mobile.
Do you see them trying to understand relationship among channels? You touched on it really briefly a couple minutes ago, but how do I think of video in the context of what I'm doing in display, of what I'm doing in search, of what I'm doing in all the formats that Facebook has, for example?
Yeah, somewhat. I'd say like there's a bigger focus on the audience in terms of cross-channel, like who can I reach where and how efficiently, and the format, the video itself is part of that discussion, but it kind of starts with how do I get more efficient at reaching a particular person, and then the type of message that I'm going to put in front of them is kind of the next question. I think there's a natural assumption that video is going to be the best possible impression to put in front of someone if they will watch it. And I think what we need to figure out is kind of when they will and what the creative needs to be like to make that successful, or when we need an alternative format like a more traditional display ad, or maybe I think some people are really starting to think about sequencing and priming, right? Like, how do you use, like, if you know you're going to reach someone in digital platform, but you're also reasonably likely to reach them on TV, those two things that information could be leveraged to get more value out of the TV investment, and we have some good research on that.
You used the word efficient earlier. Do you think that we are sort of finally moving past the efficient equals cheap paradigm to efficient equals effective, where higher cost with higher return becomes okay?
I think you're starting to see an appreciation for that, yes. Or like, I'm willing to pay a higher CPM because I believe there's more value, or I've measured it. But there's plenty of, and this is logical in my mind. Like, there's plenty of people falling back on CPM or cost per view because it's still the easiest, most direct way to make comparisons. I think nobody's really satisfied with that and understand that like that is probably not a good proxy. But until we as an industry make it possible to make these trade-offs more easily, people will default to that.
It's what we've got.
It's what we've got. I think it's our job, we see it as our job on the research side to kind of make sure people are aware that if they're making a comparison on that basis, that it has these pitfalls, and it may or may not actually be guiding them correctly. And now beyond that, it's really like we want to make sure the industry is enabled to answer that question for themselves, right? So as we see it as kind of our job to kind of make sure the data and the measurement systems are available so that a particular marketer can identify the particular metrics or set of metrics that they believe they should be buying on and optimizing for.